All right, everybody, welcome to a new episode of the Summoning Hour podcast. Today, I'm joined by Duran Squared on Twitter, also the head coach and president of NYIT Esports. Welcome.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Of course, now NYIT has been a team and a name I've seen across collegiate esports for a few years now.
We did
Mostly
it.
in it. Yeah, exactly. I've seen it. I believe I first saw you in Heroes of the Dorm when that was like the first collegiate esport that I looked into, and it's like I'm excited about this. And NYIT was just one of those acronyms that stood out. And sure enough, I've seen it in Overwatch. I've seen it in Rainbow Six. Just like those teams really stand out. So I mean, this is a bit of a name and a presence to get to know that I've seen coming for a long time. So I'm excited to have you on the show.
Oh my God, yeah, no, you don't realize how much of a smile it brings to my face that like someone could see NYT and they instantly think of the esports teams because we've been working on that for a while to get to that point where we're like synonymous with the team and everything. So that's really awesome.
Yeah, and like I said, Heroes of the Dorm was the first collegiate esport that I really got into watching because I was playing that game a lot, and NYIT for some reason it stuck in. But I followed the journey. I recognized the name, that it was one of those contender teams that seemingly always made it through the tournament or was doing well in groups, and like it was an upset that took them out in one bracket or another, one game to another. So just having NYIT make that presence known just has kind of indoctrinated me as a bit of a fan for NYIT. So you never
Awesome.
underestimate those small moments that you can connect with a person. So, and that's a message for all clubs, I suppose. So now you said before we started recording, you've been running this club and this team for a number of years now. Why don't you start your background in esports for us and let us know the man behind the team?
Yeah, so uh, I originally started at NYT 2012, when the world was about to end, and we was like, whatever. So we decided to. I went to college at NYT. I started off in computer science, and I figured out that at one semester, a whole year in, yes, computer science isn't for me. So I went directly to graphic design, and I started watching. It was kind of just trying to make friends on campus, and it was a lot of a game club that was on campus. It was like a social club on NYT Old Westbury campus, and had fun. Played some games with some people. Started playing League of Legends for the first time. I came in a League of Legends on like season 3. I think the first champion I was at was like Syndra, so that you could date when I started playing at that point. Um, it's kind of crazy because I had, unfortunately, that summer that I was gonna go to NYT, I had an accident, and okay, I ran into a tree with my bike. And I had, yeah, at the moment of impact, where it's like those scenes where it's just like, and it's like right before thing says, I bet you're wondering how I got here. And then, so I decided to put my hand out, and I unfortunately shattered my wrist and like fractured my wrist in 2 places. And I
Oh,
actually couldn't. I used to play PlayStation all the time. I was a big Call of Duty fan. Modern Warfare 2 was my first game, and what happened was I couldn't hold the controller anymore because my wrist was fractured in 2 places. So um, the reason why I started playing League of Legends is because it was a great way for me to put my entire arm on my desk and play video games. And it was a way to build up my wrist strength again while going to therapy.
that's
So that's how
incredible.
I started. So that's how I started playing computer video games, because I thought me and my friends thought we were really good at Call of Duty. We really weren't. But I mean, when you got a couple friends and you could stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning playing, then it's like it's the best thing in the world. Um, so fast forward to NYT, went through most of it. I became president of Game Club after a couple years of participating in the club. And then at a certain point, me and a couple other students thought we were pretty good at video games, and we were like, "This is it. We're gonna this new thing called Here's the Dorm is coming out with all the colleges, and then Here's the Storm's coming out, and Blizzard's biggest MOBA, and it's gonna be the best thing. It's gonna last forever." And then,
Oh yeah.
and oh yeah, last forever it did. And then rip Here's the Storm. And then what happened was we signed up for the like second year of Heroes of the Dorm because it was like the coolest thing we've ever seen in our entire lives. And then we thought we were pretty good, and we won our first match. That match was a forfeit by the other team, but it was the happiest day of our entire lives. As we won by forfeit, we ended up losing all the rest of the matches, but it was the funnest time I ever had. It was my senior year of at NYT. After that, I did what I did best, which was organizing. I organized the team and made a bunch of Google Sheets. It's like, who's gonna stop me? It's like I don't have to answer to anybody. I answer to my faculty advisor, and I tell them what we're doing, and we just do it, like whatever. Um, and then
I don't
that's
think
how.
anyone who gets mad at a student getting experience with Excel is just like, what are you doing in a college? Like, let them learn Excel.
I mean, think about it. If they keep putting it on the recommended skills on the for getting a job, you can't be mad at me when I'm learning Excel on my own. Like if I have to learn Word, I'll do it on my own. So so then at that point we started doing other games and stuff like that, and then we approached the athletics department on, hey, why don't we get under athletics? We could get some more funding. We could be a whole new league for the school. And I pitched it, thankfully at the same time, and the athletics department was already looking to it because we were a tech school already. So they were already thinking about this process. I think I just came at the right time at the right place. And let me let you know, this is not like a first time go thing. I attempted this like 2 years in it before, but it's that idea that everybody wants an esports team, but nobody wants to do the work for an esports team.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of like I kept hitting this like roadblock, and eventually I was just like, I'll just do it on my own. I got a couple passionate people, and we approached the athletics department. I made a couple more Excel sheets. I worked on Microsoft Word to organize everything, so my ducks were all in line. And long story short, we got picked up by athletics department as like a recreational sport. We got some funding to make some computers. We made 6 computers. It was a little bit of bumpy road to get that all together. I, as a senior, one of my final projects, because during this time I was still focusing on my senior projects. So as a graphic designer, you have to make sure like all your big projects are perfect, their margins perfect, because those people like take a magnifying glass to these things on final day. And I made the Cybears logo as this fun little thing that I probably thought I would never see again. I would be like, yeah, you know what? It's a school pride thing. I'll just I spent like a couple. I mean, for me, it took a couple weeks to organize like a logo that I was happy with, and had the school colors, and I made sure like nobody could say anything because the school colors. I went exact to the style guide. I was like, this is the color. I have the codes. You can't say nothing to me. And I was like, this is not gonna last long. I mean, it was just a cool thing that we did. And then by that time, it was like the athletics department was already ramping up, and they were like, yeah, we'll just use the Cybears logo. It's like the Cybears name was actually made by like, it wasn't even me. It was like the faculty advisor, Blair Hoplite, who was working there with us at the time, who was like an amazing person who's been playing D&D since like the 80s. Like he's like an OG. Like he watched Stranger Things and was like, yeah, that's not how they play D&D. This show is not good. I'm sorry. So
glad.
like,
I'm glad someone else called him out on that.
Yeah, they were doing quite a few things. So yeah, he's the one who originally thought of the Cybears name, and then it just picked up, and then they were like, well, if it's not broken, I guess they said if it's not broken, don't fix it. It got amazing help from the athletics director at the time, doing Bailey, and the athletics director now, who is Dan Velez, and the president. It was just a mix. It was like a perfect storm of a bunch of things, because we were switching presidents at the time, and the new president was like, we're a tech school, why don't we have an esports team?
Oh, that's
I was like,
cool.
Yeah, it was like that year I graduated is when they were swapping people, because I remember hearing Hank Foley speak at my graduation, and I was like, okay, this is the new guy. Like, I guess I'm never gonna see him again. And I spent like 2 years being like I guess, for lack of a better term, like a helicopter parent for esports at NYIT. I just kept coming. Like, what are they gonna? I still have my ID. What are you gonna stop somebody who looks vaguely the same age as everybody else? So, it just kept coming and helping out and organizing. I did everything online, and then we continued working. And it originally started with those original 7 playing Here's the Storm, and Now it's one. It was that original game that we went to Drop Zone, if anybody remembers that, Drop Zone, Overwatch, League of Legends, and then we eventually, now we're up to 8 games, 16 teams. Right now we just finished
Nice.
tryouts. I have an amazing bunch of team captains who are putting in so much work for their specific teams. It's why you see so many great things coming out from the League of Legends team, from our amazing Rainbow Six team, who just kills it. If they And now they're finally practicing regularly, so now we could finally maybe pull something this year. But it's gonna be amazing. That's like the long and short end of it. We've been doing a lot, and I made sure to use all my graphic design skills to the best I can. All the graphics are made by me, with suggestions from the teams and the captains and everything, making sure that everything looks clean and organized, at least from the outside. As I'm like, everything is the yeah, we're doing fine. We're doing fine. The Discord is popping off. We have almost 400 people in there now, so it's really cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, I've got 5 of your friends watching in chat right now, telling me to ask this story or that story, and you got Cajun Moon out there saying, "Tell about that first meeting with students to get players in the classroom with the PowerPoint."
Oh yeah, so I made this PowerPoint, and I felt so proud of this PowerPoint, and I made all these jokes about how I was wearing a bow tie, but I was so stressed that day that I didn't wear a bow tie, so I was kind of just like talking to myself, and I had like a PowerPoint of like, Rocket League team, this is how many people you're gonna have, and this is the tournaments you're gonna be in, so please be organized. And then Overwatch team, this is how many teams you're gonna have, and blah blah. And it was like I had like a little PowerPoint clicker and everything. I was feeling really official at that time. During that first ever meeting, I remember exactly what he's talking about. Yeah.
The power when it all just comes together, and you're
Yeah,
like,
when it
"This is how
finally
it's gonna
starts
be."
coming, this is how it's gonna be. It's gonna go perfectly the first time. No, first try or nothing. Yeah, that's literally it.
How did that actually go?
Oh, it's a very rough, it was a very rough road. I had to get really annoying on Discord, and I was like, guys, I just need you to say that you're gonna be there, please. You don't even have to put anything, just put an emoji, emote
Yeah.
something, so I know that someone's doing something. But eventually we got it all together. We lose some teams, we gain some teams. That's unfortunately the state of collegiate, where it's just like you have a player for 4 years, 5 years if you're lucky. I mean, I don't want them to spend extra money. Um, but we have some graduate students like Zaki, I think Cajun Moon, who's a graduate student and came back to play. So hopefully we can do well in the ECC. We participate in the ECC with Bob Dranoff. We're part of the school is part of the original traditional sports, and then we eventually they approached me for esports, like East Coast Conference esports, and
Yeah.
that's kind of like our big conference that we participate in. And the athletics director Dan Velez says, I hold you guys to the same standard I hold my soccer team. Like, I want you guys to bring home the trophy, and we did. We brought home the trophy for the first League of Legends tournament, and it was so cool. I spent $700 that next week because I promised them all Korean barbecue, and I
Oh
still
man, they took you to
yeah.
town.
No, no, I think I did probably the most baller move I ever did, because at that point I was already a full time like thing, so I saved up money I was
Oh,
prepared.
there
Like,
you
I didn't,
go. Yeah, okay, you were good.
they didn't know. So I was like, I did this great move. I think it was like, if it was like cinematic, it was like they gave me the check, and I put my card. I didn't even look how much money it was. I put the card, and I just gave it back to him. It was the most baller move I've ever done in my entire life. I was like, this is it. This is for the boys. They work so hard, and I actually I keep that going. I was like, if any team brings home a trophy, I will take you guys out to food, like, and all expenses paid. I don't want to hear anything, because you guys have worked for it. And I mean, sometimes that works because a lot of college students are motivated by food. I mean, it's
Yeah,
free food is free
absolutely.
food.
I mean, Korean barbecue one, free
Yeah.
food two, and the last time you get off campus, if anyone is like me, it's like, okay, I go off campus once a month because that's my stipend, or that's what I have left over from loans and stuff. And it's like, this is my one big meal for the week. So having a free thing of that quality,
Yeah,
absolutely all the time.
yeah. I made sure to make sure it was definitely good for them.
So you mentioned like where you were with that first season and like going from the presentation to like just badgering people on Discord to get things done. I'm sure a little bit of that's still the same, but
Yep.
you also just mentioned pulling off tryouts. So how has that process evolved as you've recognized that there's more production behind the scenes and getting things rolling, and how did tryouts actually end up?
So tryouts are, well, something you have to understand for NYT is we're a very transit campus. Nobody stays on campus for too long. And we have two campuses. So we have Old Westbury, which is like Long Island, the fancy part of Long Island, you would say, and then we have NYT Manhattan, which is right across the street from Columbus Circle. So they're very distant, two completely different communities. Manhattan is more focused on fighting games and the fighting game community, and Old Westbury is like a lot of the old Overwatch people. So now there's more Smash people at who teams at Old Westbury campus, and it's weird to do it because we're a tech school, so I made sure to make sure that everything was tech based regardless. A lot of our guys have to play from home because they can't make that transit out. Some of our guys either live 3 hours into the island or down in Jersey. So it's impossible to get this amount of people together. So everybody does it online as well for tryouts. We've been doing it online for a while. It's been working very well. We make sure to keep tryouts completely anonymous. Um, when you sign up, the only thing you need to sign up is your NYT email. So I would never know if it was a boy or girl, whatever gender that they identify with. So it's kind of just like this open thing until I hear your voice, and then usually sometimes I could figure it out, but I usually don't know, and I usually never even see what they look like until they decide to visit me in Old Westbury campus, or they stop me in Manhattan campus. They're like, "Oh, Duran, remember me? I'm that person." I'm like, "Okay, finally, I know what you look like." So, it's really cool to see that kind of thing like flourish. As for tryouts this year, due to COVID, we just decided to start tryouts extremely early. I wanted to make sure that the students this year are practiced during the summer, and then by the time fall rolls around, because what usually happens is we would do tryouts during late August, and then by that time the collegiate leagues are already starting up, and it's not enough
Right.
time to get that kind of chemistry with players, or make sure, because there's not enough time to figure out everything in 2 weeks. It's not enough time.
No.
So this year, I decided, I was like, everybody's at home anyway because of COVID, or at least you should be at home. And please wear a mask wherever you are. But um, why don't we do it now? So we actually went and I approached the athletics department, and with enough time in advance, and we sent a mass email out to all NYT students, and we did all our tryouts online. So we actually just finished today with Hearthstone being the last one, and we originally had a Hearthstone team, and now we didn't for a couple years, and now we're back again. So it's really great to see. We're adding new games like Call of Duty and everything, so it's great to see it's still growing despite everybody not being able to be physically. I know the God bless those Super Smash Brothers Ultimate players who are trying to play online, but they can't play online because the internet for the Nintendo Online isn't the best. Meanwhile, the resurgence of Melee, now they have rollback
Right.
netcode, and it's just like, what kind of backwards world, what kind of timeline are we living in right now?
Oh, and
Because
with Evo Online also canceled, like now there's even more reason just to stick with that melee.
it's actually ridiculous that Melee doesn't get Melee's not an Evo, and suddenly Melee develops rollback netcode. Coincidence? I think not. No, no. They have the person who was working on rollback. I watched the interview on him. That person did a lot of work to get rollback netcode onto Melee, especially for the people for Skullgirls and them fighting her with rollback netcode. They're the only persons to survive They're one of the only games to survive the entire just COVID in general,
Yeah.
because online on other games is not as good compared
Yeah.
to those games.
yeah, I mean, I used to play Tekken more seriously, but like
Hmm.
playing online, you just without the dailies with people or the
Hmm.
weeklies in front of people, it's just so hard to pick up on. Okay, you keep abusing this one combo. What is it? Down like what's the guard? What's the block? What's the dodge? What's the best move for my character because you know these all of these characters way better than me. Like you don't get that level of interaction and guidance
Yeah,
when you're being online, and you have to just be you can never tell if your opponent was actually late or if it was lag or if something
they were
weird just
mashing.
happened. It's just like, or if they're mashing, like you
Uh,
can't like yeah, I can
yeah,
totally understand why that would be so frustrating and why rollback code, like I've been asking fighting games for years to have a better net code because arcade culture doesn't survive everywhere. So
yeah.
and like the Tekken new training stuff that came out, I think it's I say new, but that was like December time. Like the additional like frame data, combo data, like all the vulnerabilities and everything, like that addition to things is really going to make things better. But you still have to have an online community to really do anything right now. So with the tryouts done, and I actually love that adaptation to the situation of like taking the opportunity to start early to get your team stronger bonded before before all the tournaments kick off, whether it's the qualifiers in the fall or like the play like the initial group stages that kind of do
Hmm.
any initial seeding and everything, like having that team dynamic going into it as opposed to someone fresh, even if it's just one person on the roster being replaced from last season, that's a huge change potentially, and you still have to vet that one person for a very specific role or have your entire team adapt to what
Yeah,
else that person's bringing to the table. So I imagine having all that additional time really just may, or we don't know yet, but I imagine
hopefully,
it's going
yeah.
to make a big difference in not just performance in the fall, but the efficiency and the efficacy of your practices leading up to this point. And given that you all were already rather distributed already, like
Yeah.
you guys are positioned quite well to go into this fall and make some pretty strong changes.
Yeah, hopefully the bet pays off, to be completely honest. We never know. But it's better safe than sorry. If it's we've had a couple rough semesters in general, where it's like someone has to leave. Like unfortunately some people have to they graduate in the winter, and then what, we have to replace someone for the spring. It's like I can't control that, and I'm not the last thing I'm going to say is like I'm not going to tell them like, hey, don't stay another year.
Right.
Like this is expensive. Like you come to NYT, and I tell this to all my guys, like you come to NYT to come and get an education. Like you're supposed to leave here with a degree. The esports part is, as much as I hate to say it, like is not the primary focus. Like we made something else that we added for our teams is make sure that we're held to the same standards as the traditional sports athletes. So we have this, even we're actually a little bit higher in terms of our not athletics, our academic requirements. I made sure to bump that up a little bit higher because something that I've been telling people lately is, as gamers, we're on the back foot. Like we're starting way behind everybody. Everybody already has the stigma of us being in the basement in our parents' home playing till 4 o'clock in the morning. Like even though most of us do that, but I mean like like it's still like it's our
Stigmatized
situation
as
that
a
we're in.
bad thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So something like we have to make sure that we're not slipping up at all, because if one person decides to like, oh, I'm only going to play video games and I'm going to drop all my classes, then it's like you can't do that. Like you understand there's a system and there's a line, there's things in place, so you have very good resources, like with esports medicine and all this other stuff and all the stuff that all the traditional sports athletes get. But you have to realize that like you have to get your stuff together. Like don't,
Absolutely.
like yeah. So
Yeah, and I mean, just like, and I'm excited someone has taken a step farther than just the requirements that are set by the school. I want people to be like, this is a premier event or a premier group that is
yeah,
going to be held to a higher standard. Like, I think that says something about the kind of program that you want to build and make sure that you're not just having people skirting by just because they can and because that's what is being asked of them. Like, to hold yourself to that higher standard just means you're going to have better results in the end. And I really do actually really like that approach to things. And you're absolutely right about not being able to take a hit and because you don't act in a way that people expect. So you expect
Yeah.
better of yourself to always be above that barrier where it could be brought down. And like we've seen all of this, all these announcements and accusations coming out over, especially over the last week,
Yeah.
and it's that kind of high standard from the beginning that keeps things from this happening and making it abundantly clear that certain behaviors won't be tolerated and will not be excused in company. So kudos to the team and everyone just buying into that. I love that approach. And going farther than that, like what is that expectation that you have for your players to like you mentioned that like you're not going to stop someone from graduating in the winter, but
Yeah.
knowing that people change their majors all the time, it might change their graduation date, they might have to take a semester off. How do you encourage that environment where students can talk to you about these things and make sure that they're also developing that sense of team and that sense of there's something bigger than me in this role?
I think it's kind of just being very open to anything someone wants to tell me. Like I'll tell all my players is like if you feel like there's a concern, like I am not a perfect person, and I obviously like I'm trying to figure out a lot of stuff because there's no guide to like how to be a head coach general manager for collegiate esports, because collegiate esports is basically a wild west shoot 'em up where everybody's kind of doing whatever they want until someone tells them to stop. And originally that was supposed to be NCAA that was going to tell everybody to stop, but that's not going to happen anymore. So
Nope.
now everybody's like, whatever, man, I'll make a collegiate league myself, and now it's everybody's doing something. So it's kind of me figuring out stuff and really speaking with the players in general and saying like, this is my idea of how this, like my original PowerPoint, this is my original idea of what I had, but you got to realize that there's another way to do this. If you see there's a better way to do this, please let me know. Like I think something I keep telling myself is the smartest person, the best thing a person can do, a smart person can do, is realize that they're not the smartest person in the room. Like there's always experts in a game, and like my team captains are amazing, and they make sure that they know the strategies for their specific teams, and I can't know all of that. So I think it's kind of creating a situation where it's just like, well, if you're not able to make it this semester, like that's something I did before tryouts. I made sure to have team meetings before that where it says, hey, if you're graduating, if you're not able to take a semester, let me know in advance, because it will piss me off if we're in the middle of a season and unless like, okay, let's say like worst case scenario, like a family member passes away and you can't mentally like go get out of here. Like what are you doing here? Like go be
Yep.
with your family. Go do your life comes first and then esports comes after. But if you're telling me in the middle of the semester like, I don't feel like it, then it's like, okay, now we have a problem because I trusted you. Like everything is based off of trust. I have to hope that my guys, that I tell them to do something and then they do it. But I mean, it's kind of still creating a situation where it's like I can give you an example. One of our players for last year in the fall's Overwatch team, he couldn't play. He didn't have enough credits when we put his number through the system. He has to meet some requirements sort of in terms of like full time and amount of credits. Now this person is he was taking, I forgot what his major is, but he was taking, so his classes were such a heavy duty that he couldn't take up to 12 credits. He can only take 10 because it was too many.
Oh.
So then he went, the red light went off, and I was like, could we make an exception? So no, we can't make an exception because those are the rules. And then we unfortunately he couldn't do it. And then I thought he was gonna get him back in the fall, but he says, no, I'm taking off a semester because I'm taking 14 credits now. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, thank you for letting me. I the way to do it is to make an avenue of communication where they're not afraid to approach you. It's just knowing to let me know things in advance so I can adjust, because I'll worst case scenario I'll deal with having a lopsided team for a semester. If that's what I have, then that's what I'm gonna deal with. It's just how it is. But if I know that I had like a master's level team and then they just don't tell me anything, and they just don't show up to tryouts, and they don't show up to practices, and they still think they could play in the fall, then we have problems for
Yeah.
obvious reasons. But yeah, I think it's just creating a level of communication where it's like, if they need to take a semester off, or Duran, something's happened on my family end, I can't explain, I have to go to the home country, or wherever that is. Like, you do what you need to do. Like, what am I going to do? Stop you? But it's like, those things I'm fine with. But it's like, you have to realize that if I'm planning and you're here and I talk to you every day and I see you online every day and you just stop showing up, you just ghost me, then it'd be like, what do you want me to do? but yeah, that's basically the way you have to do that, because I can't control everything. I can control myself, and that's the only thing I can control in my life. But I have to put my trust into players and students, hoping that they will do the right thing when I need them to show up at an event. And they know for a fact that if I have to get the NYIT van and drive them to a tournament myself, I will, because I've done it. Because that's what we did with the R6 team. The R6 team got invited to Penn State tournament, the Natani Invitational, in last year, and they said, how are we going to get there? I said, bet, let me see if with my new head coach powers, rent a van. So we got the NYT van, and I drove them all the way to Penn State. It was the longest drive I've ever done, but it was so worth it. It was such a great experience to go out there with the guys. The tournament didn't go the way we wanted it to, but we got to get some actual LAN experience with like some other teams like RIT and the 2 Penn State teams. So hopefully we get invited again to go again this year. But it's and I drove my guys to Rutgers for the Rutgers Fireside Invitational last year. Like, I'll do it. Like say I won't. Like, I'll if you give me enough time, you tell me 3 weeks in advance, hey Duran, we're gonna go to this tournament, could you drive us? I'd be like, bet. Show up though. Please show up.
And then you win and you get Korean barbecue. Like, there's
And
even
then we
more
get,
reason
yeah,
to
it's a
show up.
win. It's a win-win. It's a win-win. So I don't have to pay. Thankfully, NYT pays for the gas and everything. I don't have to pay out of pocket, and my car can't fit that many people. So when we get the boys in the van, we just drive. I'll drive them wherever I need them to. But they have to realize they have to let me know things in advance. They can't just throw things on me and hope that I'll throw it together. Sometimes I do, but I try not to put myself in stressful situations like that.
Right.
So
Yeah, and I mean, could you imagine organizing plane trips on top of that instead of just like, I'm going to fly with you, we're going to go international, and just like complicate the hell out of it?
I mean, we were gonna do that before COVID happened. We had all of April planned. We had enough. We were gonna go to Albany for the HV GamerCon. We got invited to go to Arkansas. I've never been to the middle of the states, the middle states in my life. And because Arkansas NYT Medical Campus has an NYT. Well, I don't know why there's an NYT campus in Arkansas, but it's called NYT in Arkansas. It's really weird.
That's
It's
hilarious.
Yeah, it's crazy. So they made an esports team. Shout out to the A State and Steph, who's running that program. But they invited us because they opened up their new esports room, and they were going to do some show matches for a big medical conference that we were going to do. And we were going to go until COVID happened. And we were supposed to have tournaments at NYT before COVID happened. That was like end of March. I had all of April planned. We were gonna do some 24-hour stream like we did during. That was my craziest idea was doing. I said the library is gonna be open 24 hours a day. Who's gonna stop us from raising money for charity? So I just decided.
Exactly.
I said, hey guys, who wants to come for a 24-hour live stream? I stayed up for 24 hours. We played 50. They played 50 turn Mario Party for like 5 hours. Don't play 50
No,
turn Mario Party.
just don't
They
do that to yourself.
they did it though, and they were losing their minds by the end. But I've had so many great experiences with all the players from NYT. They're all very passionate and all in different majors too, which is actually really amazing to see. They're some of the best people I've ever worked with so far.
That's awesome. Now, like you've mentioned COVID a number of times, and now you have this blank slate, and even just a giant question mark about what this fall season is going to look like.
Yeah.
Now you've already been practicing. You're going to be running scrimmages. You're going to be doing whatever tournaments come up, but how do you ensure that they're ready to go for the big TESPA tournaments, the big ESPN drive-in ones, any of the other college leagues that are NACE driven? I mean, if you're a member of NACE, like how do you prepare for those ones that I feel like most people are paying attention to in the collegiate space?
The same way we pay. Honestly, it's the same way we prepare for all the other tournaments, regardless if it's a local regional tournament or a national tournament. It's still another school, unless it's like a UC Irvine with like top 500 people. I don't know how we're supposed to deal with that. It's just, but it is with the dice roll where the dice roll for TESPA and stuff like that, because it's all randomly. A lot of them are randomly generated, or whatever seeding they are. Eventually, we do have to face a Rutgers or we have to face a UC Irvine with their firepower behind their teams. But I never really get mad because they're just other colleges trying their best, just like we are. In terms of how do we prepare for a different tournament, it's honestly still the same. In terms of getting together, we still, a lot of us play online because like I said, a lot of us can't make it to the esports room. We only have one esports room. That's an Old Westbury campus now. The problem would be getting from Manhattan to Old Westbury, finishing at 11 o'clock at night, and then trying to send my guys back on the LIRR back to Manhattan. It's like, it's not going to work. Unfortunately, it's just the way that we've been doing it is everything's online. Make sure your internet is good. Make sure you tell your parents not to bother you for like 3 hours, and then hope that it pans out. I mean, it's just, I hate to say it's still a roll of the dice, because a lot of our guys they play normally at home and they're playing on their setups, and I would love to have them all in one location, one central location. But unfortunately, our dorms aren't on our campus. Our dorms are on SUNY Old Westbury's campus, so that's a distance regardless. We don't have players on our own campuses, so I wish I would have dorms on our campus, but unfortunately there's like zoning laws, and the rich people don't want people in the area with kids running around at 3 o'clock in the morning or something. Like, I don't know. But it's just the way that we have a very specific situation, and we're adapting to that situation as the best we possibly can. That's all, and that's all I can really ask for. I'm not going to blame the players for not having a good situation, but I would love to have be like I'll say A State, because I know A State has all their people on campus. Or Delaware, which is just like the whole college is the city. Like that's them. Like my friend went to Delaware, and I went down there, and I was like, they got like a freaking stadium. Like, you could just do that? You could just have a stadium on campus that people go to? I went to Penn State with the guys. I was like, they have a stadium with like how many people? 30,000 people. What the hell? They have a Burger King on campus. I was like, what do you do with a Burger King on campus? Like, we have to get like 4 people in a car, drive down to the nearest Wendy's, and hope that there's time. Like, but it's like it's every college is different, and I applaud every head coach or general manager or student leader who's adapting to their specific situations, and only they know what specific situations are on their campuses, because some people are good at some teams are just amazing at Overwatch, like a Rutgers. Shout out to the amazing people who work at Rutgers and just kill it every single year with their amazing organization, and all student run. Like, some colleges just do it amazingly, and I mean, every college is different. And I think I can easily stand by the word that a lot of people in collegiate are probably one of the most resourceful people in some of the most resourceful people in esports, because they take a lot with almost nothing. No backing from the athletics, no backing from the school, not even recognized by the school, but they still do it. So
and then you go that step farther. You look at organizations like College R6 or Collegiate Rainbow Six League and CEA and College COD. Like College COD, the fact that they are hosting COD League events, like the Challenger League events, and like they're the ones producing that. That's insane that you get students, not like, it's amazing alone that collegiate esports exists as from student-driven clubs and into organizations like TESPA and NACE that are highly organized, and still the students find a way to organize themselves to participate in these absolutely massive and long tournaments. Then you
Yeah.
add in the fact that these students are also going that step farther and being like, College COD, let's just get everyone involved and let's produce something ourselves that's rivaling like professional broadcasts. Like
It's
that's sick and
they do
absolutely
amazing.
impressive.
The thing I love about collegiate is it's such a great storyteller. To be completely honest, you can tell a story with like almost any college, and say like it's the best chance for like a David versus Goliath story. It's the best chance for like an underdog story. Because my sister, she goes to Queens College, and let's say at what point in normal traditional sports, let's say Queens College is a Division III school in Queens, in New York, in but in what situation normally before esports would you ever see that a Queens College soccer team would face UC Irvine, a Division I school?
Never
Never,
happens.
right? Yeah, but now collegiate is like, we have 3 top 500s on our team. So UC Irvine, who? And they just smack everybody on their way up to like the top. Like that's only possible in collegiate esports, because like it could be anybody. And get as person who organizes for people who are on the team, it's such, I keep saying it's a dice roll, but it's such a crazy, it's a lottery when it's like, oh, this person on our campus is Challenger? Where did he come from?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
when you start, it's like you just hope that we got like when we our first our big League of Legends team, the one that won the ECC, we had some masters and we had really amazing people on the team who socially wise would have never met each other if it weren't for esports. So we're making a lot of connections that would have never happened, especially in terms of majors. Like I don't know how it is on other campuses, but I could tell you the way it happens at NYIT is it's mostly a click system where it's just like the architecture students are in their building, do not bother them, they get cranky. The graphic design students are in their building, do not bother them, they're working. Engineering students have their own basement, and do go down there, I guess, if you feel like it. We have interior designers share with the graphic designers, they're in a clan war or something like that. But it's like everybody has their groups, because there's not enough time to meet with other people, because I have one of my team captains is an architecture student, and he's like, yeah, sorry guys, I can't do anything this week. I am doing my projects and I am going to be on campus till 4 o'clock in the morning. And we're like, well, that's good luck with that. But it's if for NYT, if a lot of people didn't have esports, then we wouldn't have made all these connections that we would have before. And it's something that I always bring up to the high brass of NYT is we're creating a form of student retention where it's you're more lucky to stay as a student on campus if you have friends on campus. If you just come, you do your work and you leave, then there's not really a chance there. So
Those are probably the lowest ROI students that the university gets, is the people who are there and gone as quickly as possible, as
mm,
opposed to the people who are building up culture and community and investing more of their time into something that
yeah,
the university is involved with. Like this is why I love esports so much in the collegiate space, is that it's super open to being inclusive, and a lot of people are driving that message right now. So it's probably the most welcoming club that you could have on campus outside of a traditional sports group. And that's only true for the AAA schools and or the Division A schools. And so it when you strip away the opportunity that it's restricted to just the Division A, like you start getting so many different stories, you get so many different takes on collegiate esports, and so much more involvement on it at a different level, especially because the goal for all of them is participating at the same level, as opposed to
yeah,
Division 1, 2, and 3. It's like, yeah, you won Division 3, but you know that there's a school better than you
yeah,
that
yeah.
at
It's
the
the
next
sucks.
level, and you never get a chance to prove that you're actually the better team.
Yeah,
and a
That's why
lot
I
of this,
love, yeah.
and a lot of this comes from people like you who got set up like 4 years ago, and being able to say we're planting a flag early and saying we're going to be ahead of the curve with all of this. And I mean, there's still AAA, or I keep saying AAA, game development, man,
Yeah,
Division
I
A
feel.
schools,
Yeah.
Division A schools that are still ignoring this, still not doing anything. It's all still student driven, and it's like they can't get funding from the student council or anything like that to support them,
Yeah.
so they're stuck playing on their rigs at home as opposed to having a practice space and a regiment and a coach and a manager and people being able to take themselves seriously, let alone be represented seriously.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. That's why I'll keep saying it till forever. But they do a lot. Everybody does the most that they possibly can with the sometimes the least amount of resources, and they build up communities and they build up tournament winners. And sometimes I'll mention Rutgers because they're what I wanted to be when I was first starting esports at NYIT, because they were just completely student. They're still student run, and it's like, Rutgers, hello, can you support these guys? They won how many national tournaments by this point? They dominate every tournament they're in. They're an amazing group. They have multiple clubs and they organize their whole tournaments. And it's like they just need space. They just needed a place to play, and it's like, give them that at least. But it's like that. I don't know why I don't see why some schools don't support their own. It's made already. Like, just give them some funding or something like that, or at least
Yeah.
throw them on your Twitter and say like, hey, look at these our great students who play. And that's why I'm thankful that NYT at least, like, I remember it was like when we were doing our League of Legends tournament, there was at least one person in the audience who was tweeting out, like live tweeting on the NYT proper, like the NYT Twitter account, and they had all these gifts, and I had to give them so much credit because they were really capturing the energy of that day, because it was just like, oh, we got one game, oh, we got the second game, oh, we lost the third game, but we came back the fourth game, and it's like it's like to have the support from your school, whether it be on athletics or at least recognizing you as a club, is such a great step. Um, but you have to realize that schools only have a limited amount of time, because after these people leave, then unless they built in a leadership dynamic, then the club leaves with them.
Oh yeah,
So
and I
it's
mean that's
so
how you get a lot of those eras where it's like this is the most important aspect of community first, and then it's competition as someone rolls in. But then
yeah.
if you're not getting much support from a school to kind of keep that consistency, that person who might have been trying to take the lead is now burned out, like already been burned,
Yeah.
and is just like you didn't give me what you promised, and so I'm piecing out. And it sets the club back years each time you do stuff like that. And
Yeah.
getting rolling like this into a space that is non-stop. I mean, there's collegiate tournaments happening during the summer for I think pretty much every game, even
Yeah.
Valorant that's less than a month old at this point. Like
Yeah, it really
everyone's
is.
paying attention, and it's unlike traditional sports. It is a 365 24/7
Yeah.
event series, and you have an opportunity to go out and make content for your school every day, to make a brand recognition for your school every day, and get a major recruiting tool underneath your belt, and as a great olive branch to local schools, local high schools. That high school is kicking off like collegiate was 3
Hmm.
4 years ago. So I mean, this is a process that does everything for itself already, and all you have to do is green light a small check, a small space,
Yeah.
or some small resources overall in your budget. You look at your football team, you look at your IT budget for the next year. I'm sure you
Yeah.
can spare a couple $1,000s for a few rigs. Just saying.
Yeah, that's honestly what it takes, and then you get that kind of thing done, and then it's exponential growth at that point. We have a room in the Old Westbury campus that I love bringing the Manhattan guys to, because the Old Westbury guys make it there whenever they can. Unfortunately, when we open up again, we're gonna have to do some a lot of changing because we will normally have 14 computers in there. But now we have to bring it down to 7 because we need to have social distancing guidelines already ready. Just so, because we want the guys to play, we want everyone to play in the room, but we obviously can't. We don't want to spread this virus any more than it needs to be. So it's
Yes.
it's really interesting how
Me.
everything's playing out right now. But Collegiate's going to do what it always does, and it's going to adapt and improvise and overcome, like that Bear Grylls quote where he just points at the screen and he says, "Adapt, improvise, overcome." And yeah, so it's really amazing to see how everybody's doing whatever they can do, and I'm really excited to see what happens in the fall. Like you said, something I had to explain to the athletics department and people in upper management of NYIT saying like, so when do you play League of Legends? And I'm like, every day.
When don't we?
Like when is my Overwatch team not playing Overwatch? And the answer to that is when they get to Masters sometimes, because they don't want to de-rank before the season ends. But most of the time they're always playing Overwatch. So it's a full year thing. I mean, when I started working with the ECC, they were like, we should just do this. And I was like, okay, but you have to understand there's a system and we can't step on people's toes because that's not good. So we make sure that Overwatch is always in the fall, and because during the spring, TESPA has their tournaments, and last thing we want to do is have a minor tournament of ECC being overshadowed by the giant league that is that. And then we put League of Legends during the spring because thankfully ECC got a partnership with Riot Games, and we're a fast track into the bigger bracket. So if you win
sweet.
ECC, you get into like the top 2. If you top 2 of ECC get into like another level of the Riot bracket. So thankfully that works out. But you have to make sure like having somebody who's in the scene who knows the way that tournaments run, because there's a it's madness, but there's a tempo to everything, because we always know that that Overwatch happens during this time and League of Legends happens this time. Now that Valorant's involved, now Valorant will do something until someone makes something big, until Riot makes the Valorant Collegiate League, which God please Riot make a Valorant Collegiate League would make everything so much easier. But I mean, we'll figure that out when we get there.
I mean, you think about that, and you think about how the missed opportunity CS:GO has had with.
Oh my God! You don't even start with me.
But then, I mean, CS:GO has ignored this side of the community for a long time, anyways. So to have Valorant be able to come in and say, "We're just gonna slide into this space because no one else is doing it," like, man, what an opportunity! And with RSAA already formed, they've already got the infrastructure behind it. They know what they like from LEC, LCS, the Collegiate League of Legends already. They know this stuff. They know it.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be probably one of the smoothest esports launches I can imagine, especially for Collegiate.
Yeah, and we're already working out some stuff for some tournaments that I'm organizing. So hopefully that we'll start seeing some stuff in the fall. And I know there's other leagues that we've already talked to that they already want to start doing Valorant. So it's going to be really amazing when that happens. But it's like, I've had so many problems with CS:GO over the years, and people ask me everywhere, are we having a CS:GO team this year? No, we cannot, because you have to like, there's some schools that don't realize the implications of having a CS:GO team, not because CS:GO is too violent, because everybody knows R6 very literally blows the doors off of the most violent shooter that we can possibly do, but they get away with simulation. Unfortunately, I feel like I talked to some colleges about this, and they don't realize that the implications of having CS:GO when they yell "terrorists win" at the top of their lungs, as a New York team, where we have to deal with military enforcement in Penn Station and a lot of other things. You have to realize that like we have quite a situation where it's like, at the end of the day, the school is a school of education, but you have to realize that there are stakeholders, and the school at its basis is a business, where they're not going to like it if they're saying certain games. I have to get all my games approved regardless,
right.
because if the school is going to promote it, then they have to be on board with it. We just barely got COD. Like just barely got caught over in general. Thankfully, whoever is in Riot Games proper, thank you for creating the mature filter so I can get past a lot of this collegiate mumbo jumbo about a shooting game once again. But Valorant took that opportunity when CS:GO didn't, and that's how it is. But I'm really excited to see, because in the fall is when it's gonna blow up. Fall is when everybody finally gets back to school, and they're able to really get stuff done. Is when we're gonna see some crazy stuff from the Valorant. Thankfully, shout out to Adam from Ambox doing weekly tournaments, so we can keep some scrims up and keep tournaments up. And I joined a couple discords already, and we're already signing some, not signing, but at least putting our word on that we're going to participating in some tournaments in the fall. And I'm letting my guys know in advance, like, please make sure you're ready, that we're practicing during the summer, because when fall rolls around, it's we're running. That's it.
Yeah,
we're not slowing down this time
anymore.
No, it's not dress rehearsal. It's like when the theater opens up and they say don't walk across the stage anymore because people are inside. That's literally, it's like, everybody please prepare yourselves. So
it's the macro chaos with a heartbeat to it.
no, definitely, that's pretty much what it's like during the season, during the season where everybody's doing what they can. It's just like organize, and then let them go, and then hopefully it pans out. Unfortunately, we do get bad seasons. Like, unfortunately, sometimes you get just matched up versus Rutgers, and it's just like, could we have not gotten Rutgers during the spring rally? There was a chance. Like, there was a chance there, but I mean, it is, when the brackets get made, You can't complain about it. You get what you get, and you don't get upset, kind of deal. So yeah. It still makes that chance. There's always a chance that we can do something big. Hopefully for all of our new teams, we are able to add a fighting game general team, because there's too many fighting games to say one team for just Tekken for now, at least until we get more people involved. But I'm excited to see them go to locals whenever locals open up. I think locals are finally going to open up in the Bronx again, so with the House of Chaos. So that's going to be really cool. With a lot of great tournaments. New York is such a great place for FGC, so thankfully we're able to start doing that, and just run with the punches. Like, sometimes I add teams out of nowhere, and I was speaking with some people about comments about COD, and it's just like, how do we prepare for COD, because COD changes every year. What do you do when that kind of thing happens? Like, you have a team, I prepared a team, and then what happens if the new COD comes out and it's not the best?
I mean, there was people who boycotted this one and went back to like World War II. Like, it's a role, like, and this just exposes an interesting dynamic to an annual iteration on the title, or just general game development. And when a game comes out, like, how do you measure the people moving on? And like, as you're saying, adding teams, adding rosters, adding games, like, it's just having to manage that in the moment, and just understanding that this is the heartbeat of how colleges adopt games and how communities adopt games, and just how it changes things, and how it's that rapid response to everything, and really understanding a lot of the students who are driving that interest. And like, you can't really argue with the fact that it's something that the students want to do and manage and hold themselves accountable for. It's like, that's an important life lesson in general, but then to let them take their own fate in their own hands and make it as good as they want to do. I mean, there's this saying that college is what you make of it, and this is everything epitomizing that.
Yeah, that's honestly something I usually tell myself when it's like it starts to get a little difficult. It's just, I'm here to make the best kind of college experience I could possibly make. I mean, I can't say anything about the grades or the professors, but I want to make sure, like, at least you remember this part of college, that you had fun, you played games, you participated in tournaments, you met new people, you got some new opportunities that you probably wouldn't have had before. And that's kind of was like my driving force between so much branding for the Cybears, where someone like you hear about them in all the way in your time zone, and just like, oh, well, maybe this will give them some more opportunity, something that I couldn't give them. Maybe when it's like an organization says, hey, we're looking to hire new people, we're looking for interns, and they could put the Cybears name on their resume and say like, hey, I participate with this team. Oh yeah, I've heard about that team in New York. And I'd be like, yeah, yeah, that's us. We did it. We made it to the top, and it's not the tippity top yet. But one day, hopefully, we'll be able to win like a major national tournament and get NYT like smack dab on the map. That it's not only Rutgers on the top, on the upper northeast and northeastern. Then it's also us here in Long Island and Manhattan, with the help of other schools that are still doing amazing in their regions, with like NYU's doing amazing. Shout out to Malloy, shout out to everybody else in the ECC doing their best with what they have and managing, and what are their specific team situations where some schools don't like certain games, so you got to adjust and continue on. It's crazy.
You know, you mentioned such a great sense of camaraderie across schools and across games even, and like what we know of college COD and how they form themselves. It has to be one of my favorite aspects of collegiate esports, being that everyone wants us to go better. No one's taking their rivalry too seriously. It's not been like, there's still some toxicity to it. There's still some inclusion issues and diversity issues and everything. But all in all, when you look at people playing, being able to play, and people wanting to develop this space, they're doing it because they love it, doing it because they really want something better for everyone. And it's one of those feel-good storylines that's just prevalent across every single game and every club that I've come across. Like, no one is so high on their own supply that like they're just isolating themselves and not growing people. And when you have that level of collaboration, it's got to make it feel even better in the school's eyes to let them be doing something like this, to say these are our students taking up these reins and leading the way in a level of ownership that hasn't really been seen to the scale, I think, as most other clubs. Like FBLA might be the next biggest thing, or a science convention that I'm just completely out of the loop on, but like college esports is really framing community across campuses, and it's one of my favorite parts that I've seen.
Yeah, no, it's I love the ability to be able to go to like a Rutgers tournament and speak with the people who are organizing. Shout out to everybody who's listening. Do not talk to tournament organizers while they're organizing, in the middle of organizing tournaments. Make sure you talk to them after, because they got a million things on their minds. I can tell you that for a fact. But it's the ability to be able to go and just message someone on Discord. You put the NYT tag in front of your name, you put a Rutgers tag in front of you, you put the NYU tag in front of your name, and you get to really have that connection. That's like, I wish I could just message NRG's general manager and be like, hey, how do you do this? Like, obviously they don't have enough time for me. I'm a low level on the esports scale, but it's like I could message almost anybody from friends I've made for Rutgers. Shout out to Beanies from Rutgers. I message them all the time. I message some people from Andbox all the time. I message people from A State, and people I know from I have maybe 2 degrees of separation from people in Penn State. It's like if they want to organize a tournament, they know who to start messaging, and eventually it'll get to me, and then we could figure out a way to get them over there. But it's like, I think it kind of goes back to like the amount of communication that's been between a lot of teams, where it's like, obviously I'm gonna hate your guts when when my team needs to play their tournament, but like maybe after we can scrim. Like, we'll still scrim you guys, like if we're around the same level, but like it's everybody's trying to get better. And I know a lot of people hope that like esports, college esports is kind of this path to pro, and unfortunately for all games it isn't. To be completely frank with you, but a lot of people have to also understand that the esports industry isn't only players. It isn't only players. So it's like, we need the amount of experience that people are getting in terms of leadership, or in terms of organizing, or in terms of the lonely graphic designer who decided to make a logo and then run with it as long as he possibly could. Like, this is a chance for everybody to really, it's free real estate.
It
Where
really
it's just
is.
like, it's free real estate. You have a chance to work with an organization for free, and then be able to throw that on your resume and be like, yep, I worked with that organization when they were doing it. And you can do stuff, and it's it allows a lot of people to do a lot of things, and hopefully launch pad them way past into like bigger teams and stuff like that. And if they're lucky, maybe some challenger level and Delaware can go and get to like the challenger circuit in League of Legends, or an academy team. That's like I love seeing that one. It's like, oh, you came from this college and you got all the way to like on stage LCS. I'm like, I don't know who you are, guy, but I'm proud of you wherever you are. Like, it did it. Like, and I wish that for all my players. Like, I want to see you guys get to Grandmaster Rocket League. I want to see you guys get to Challenger. Like, of course it's going to be difficult because solo queue is horrible. But I mean, like, with enough determination, we can pad that and pad you with enough teamwork and enough people on your team to get you a trophy or get you a shirt that says ECC #1.
You want one of your players' bedrooms to be broadcast live on ESPN during the championship match after the quarterfinal victory, and you're going off for day 3, and you want their bedroom, their sheets to be all messy and like maybe a dirty dish back there too.
Yeah.
Like, you want that for them. Like, those moments are absolutely incredible. And, I have to say, like, I already knew of NYIT, like I said at the top of the podcast, saying like, I know this team, I know that they're around, and I don't know enough about them, and I knew that this was going to be a podcast that I really looked forward to getting, even back then, even when I was just like, okay, no one's going to want to talk to me, I'm way out of college, not doing this stuff, no one's going to care about speaking their truth, speaking their story, and I've been proven wrong time and time again. And this story is probably just one of my favorites because it just seems like you and the school are coming from a very genuine place of interest and wanting to develop this space. So it's really exciting for like my intuition about this podcast to be right. And so that's exciting for me as a podcaster. And I want to make sure that you have an opportunity because we're actually over length, and which is just exciting. Yeah, it's already been over an hour, which is incredible.
Oh my God.
That's how these things go. So I just want to make sure you have a chance to like list any contact information, like social media for yourself, for your group, and anything else that's going on, anything else that NYIT should be known for in their esports that you want people to know about. That way they know it from the podcast.
Yeah, so if you want to get most of our stuff, you can go to Twitter. It's NYT_esports. We made sure to spell esports correctly with either all lowercase or capital E and then lowercase s esports. I still trying to get a couple people from NYT to recognize that it's not lowercase e capital S. They keep doing it. I keep trying to remind them, or I keep forgetting. It's one of the both or both. But if you go to our Twitter, at NYT_esports, you can find our Discord. We're 400 strong. We're pushing 400 strong on the Discord. Our guys are always playing there, always memeing around. At 3 a.m., you can expect a meme that's "Oh boys 3 a.m." with Patrick. If you want to check that, it happens every night at 3 a.m. on the dot. So proud of them. We're working on an online series on our YouTube. And there we're starting like a Nuzlocke Pokemon run, which is 2 of our Overwatch players trying to play a Soul Link Nuzlocke Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire. Hopefully we're gonna get that. Hopefully we'll get that approved soon. Shout out to all of the teams, the Overwatch. I need to go down the list because I don't want to mention all of them and then not mention all of them. Our Overwatch teams, our League of Legends team. Shout out to our Rainbow Six Siege team who finished their tryouts, and I'm really excited for what they're gonna do this season. Smash team, the 3 Smash teams, our new fighting game community, our new Fortnite people, the Rocket League, the Valorant team, the Call of Duty team. We weren't able to get Apex Legends up yet, but shout out to the Return of the Hearthstone team. We're doing a lot of great stuff. I did say shout out to the Rocket League team. Don't you put that on me. We're doing some really amazing stuff. Hopefully we can start getting our charity runs open again. We were able to do really great work with the Long Island Gaming League, and unfortunately we weren't able to raise that much money because I can't stream that well from my house, but we're figuring it out. We're trying our best, and we're hopefully make everybody from our region proud whenever we show up at a tournament with our Cybears logo and our jerseys. Um, uh, yeah, that's mostly it. Follow our YouTube, follow you on the Twitter. You can get most of our stuff. I'll probably have to make a link tree too, because there's so
It's
many
too
links at this
useful.
point.
Too
It's
useful.
too useful. So we have our Twitter, we have our Facebook. I'm not sure who still goes on Facebook, but we have a Facebook, our YouTube. We're going to be uploading videos as much as we possibly can with new content. And thank you so much for speaking with me. If you need me to come back anytime, I have no problem, because I would literally talk to you about collegiate esports for another 2 hours. I
Oh,
don't care if it's 2 o'clock in the morning.
I would love to. I'll love to have you on for a part two, because I feel like that there's so much left unsaid. It's been really great talking with you and getting to know the club through you. And so, and I'll just extend it an olive branch further, is like, if there's any announcements, if there's any news that's going on, if there's anything that you want to shout out, boost the signal for, I'm happy to broadcast a message early in another episode, or
Yeah.
maybe split it up halfway through in an episode and just do some announcements type things. But I'm happy to do that for any club, and yours is more than welcome to come back for a full-on episode if you got stuff going on.
Yeah, no problem. We're gonna start getting really crazy in the fall, so I think that might be the best opportunity when we're actually doing all our tournaments at the same time. You caught me at the perfect time. Was the last day of all of our tryouts, so we're finally done with all our tryouts. And now it's that anime protagonist grind till the fall. But I'd be happy to talk to you about whatever else esports related, because I I'd keep going, but we got a time limit,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But
Yeah.
it's there's so much happening collegiate with so many people, and the effect of collegiate on the upper epsilon of esports with franchise leagues and everything. And I feel like there's a lot more that could be done, but it's a work in progress, and the fact that we've even gotten this far is amazing in general.
It's just a matter of time. Well, it was great
Yeah.
talking with you, and I look forward to hearing about NYIT's growth and success in the fall, and we'll just have to stay in touch.
Yeah, no, definitely. Thank you.
All right, everyone, that's the stream and the episode. I will be publishing this on Monday morning, 3 a.m. my time, 6 a.m. your time, so it'll be ready for your your bed to couch commute, and
Yeah.
you'll be able to get it live and hear it loud and proud with all your contact information in the show notes. So I'll get that edited up this weekend, and I just want to shout out everyone who stopped by and chat. Like, we peaked here. There was some great chemistry in there, some great
Hey.
feeding for you. So thanks everyone who tuned in on stream. I really do appreciate it. And I would love to see another school challenge this level of activity, but getting people in with a podcast. So, not saying, but NYT's losing or winning this one. Like,
Yeah, we did it, boys.
you're winning the podcast.
Hell
Congratulations,
yeah.
everybody. All right, I'm going to cut the stream here, and just thanks again to everyone, and good luck, NYIT.
Thank you so much.